I'm with Luke Sinclair, who's the boss man of Knightsbridge Estate Agents in Leicester, and we're here to find out his estate agency story, what makes him tick, his down times, his up times, his trials and tribulations, so you guys can learn a lot from him. Thanks for joining me today, Luke.
Pleasure.
Right, so you were born in 1981, which makes you the humble age of 41, 42 now.
41. Let's go to 41.
Okay, good stuff. Must have had a tough paper out. No, you did. Brought up in Leicester?
No, started my life off in Oxfordshire,
Okay,
a little village called Milton under the Witchwood,
okay.
and then moved to Leicester in 1988. So 7 years roughly in Oxford.
Why did your mum and dad move to Leicester?
Job relocation.
What did your dad do?
So he was an engineer for a spray painting manufacturer.
So, what's your dad's name?
Paul
Okay,
and Linda.
okay. So, what did your dad teach you as a child?
Hard work pays off, because I always remember, and presence as well, I think is another one. So hard work is that if you put the hard work in, then it will pay off, because I could see that when you look back, the promotions that he had over the years, the company cars, the nice things that they were able to do with us as a family, and what they're able to provide for.
And your mum? What? Let's give a shout out to your mum. What's she called?
Linda.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did your mum teach you?
Respect, honesty, again, hard work. Yeah.
Do you still have your grandparents or?
No.
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 In terms of your four grandparents, which one stood out? And in terms of, I know you shouldn't have favourite grandparents, but
Yeah.
the one that taught you the most.
My mum's mum.
Okay. What did she teach you?
Well, it was the two. I don't remember much of her husband, but I always remember we used to go over to Whitney, and we used to go. It was when smoking was the normal, so we used to go for a pee and a fag, and literally it was a trip to Whitney to go to the public toilets and to have a cigarette outside. So I think it was more about family values.
Okay.
And creating those moments and memories for whether it's you or your children to remember.
And again, we're going to come on to talk about your family. Are you conscious of that and try and make memories for your kids?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And it is to create those memories. I always remember. I used to do a lot of running in around 2012, 2013. I did a lot of half marathons then, and I still have vivid memories of each of those half marathons. So it's those memories that you create, and you can look back and raise a smile.
And did you have any brothers and sisters? And
Yeah.
Okay. And how are you, the oldest or youngest or something?
I'm the eldest. Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. Then there's Sam, who's a couple of years younger, and then there's Sarah, who works within the business as well.
In your business?
Yeah, yeah. So it's her birthday tomorrow, 16th of May.
Excellent. Happy birthday, Sarah. Right. Okay. What's it like having your sister in the business?
Yeah, it's good. She doesn't side sides, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So she tends to stay a little bit impartial. She will sometimes give a bit of a reality check, which at the time
Because she's your sister.
Yeah, but not vocally. Sometimes if you ask for it in an indirect way, when you want to do a reality check yourself, and sometimes you wince and you don't like what's being said, but you take it on board.
Yeah, it's quite hard to be told, especially from, I know she's your sister, but at work she's a colleague.
Yeah, I don't think it matters if it's a colleague. It's when you're passionate and you love doing something so much, and sometimes your head is always and your heart's taking you down one direction, and then for someone to give that reality check that takes you away from that way that your heart's taking you. I think that's the thing, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong.
But it takes a lot of self-awareness not to be personal about it, and
Absolutely, yeah.
where did you learn that from?
You have to learn to count to 10 lots and lots of times. Sometimes counting more than 10 helps.
Okay, so you were the eldest son in a family of three. Your dad was hardworking. Your mum showed you emotion and empathy and everything that goes with that. When you were in secondary school, did you know what job you wanted to be?
I had no idea whatsoever. I think I probably said, I'm going to do what my dad's doing.
Okay.
Or I'm going to work with computers.
Because I know you did a bit. You're into your tech and your IT.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you leave after your GCSEs, or did you go do some A levels?
No, I stayed on for A levels.
Okay. Still no idea what you wanted to do.
No, I mean I did religious studies A level,
Okay.
history A level, and that was the French Wars of Religion.
Okay.
So that was quite handy doing a religious studies A level as well, because you could do two for the price of one. And
IT?
no, because they didn't do IT at that time at that school at A level. This was before it was more mainstream, and I think it was business studies. That was it.
Okay.
Business studies A level.
But was the intention probably just get on the university bandwagon?
Yeah, just follow that path and see where you end up.
So you got your A levels. Why didn't you go to university?
I did.
Oh, right, go on then.
Yeah, so went to De Montfort. So did a 4-year course in Leicester
In
business studies.
Why didn't you leave the city?
Didn't want to move away from home. Didn't want to spend the money.
Did you ever go into student accommodation?
No.
So you didn't get the full student experience.
I didn't get
wasting your money in.
No, I didn't. Well,
and
I got the student experience with wasting money on other things. So I ended up spending it on like hi-fi equipment and
okay.
snooker halls and things like that when I should have been in lectures and things.
What did your degree teach you?
If I'm honest, not a lot. It was more what happened if we rewind a little bit. So during one of the things my mum and dad were keen is that I didn't just spend the summer holidays dossing about. So at the time, my dad was working in Banbury in Oxford. So we'd moved up to Leicester to be closer to another place of work, and then they ended up getting another job back in Oxfordshire. So I would go to work in the warehouse there, packing boxes, shipping orders out.
This is in the summer holidays?
This is in the summer holidays.
Did your mum and dad move?
No. Stayed in Leicester.
Because the kids were at school?
Yeah. Just it is 47 miles from door to door. And so packing boxes, and then eventually it'd be get an opportunity to go and help at the NEC, at some of the shows, just even as help setting it up.
So this was during your university course?
So between 16 and 18 this is.
Oh, so during your A-levels?
Yeah, GCSEs and A-levels, and probably pre-16 as well. And that is where you're mixing with different business people. You're understanding systems, you're understanding processes, you're understanding how a decision made at a higher level has repercussions further on down.
That's quite insightful for a 16 to 18-year-old. Or was it only now that you're realising this?
No. You realise it then. And I always used to have a passion about business because as a geek, I would buy like the business simulation games on the PC, and you pretend to run your own business and that kind of thing.
Is that why you wanted to go to university to do a business studies course then?
It's just I like business, so I'll go and do a business.
Now, do you like business or you like being an entrepreneur? Because there's almost two.
It's more of the entrepreneur aspect when I look now with hindsight.
Now, quite a lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because their parents were entrepreneurs, run their own businesses. By the sounds of it, your parents did. So where do you think that came from?
I don't know. I mean, my dad's always had quite high up positions in terms of managerial roles and that kind of thing. So you can argue there's an element of entrepreneurialism there.
This drive.
And there's drive, yeah. So I suppose it's, you watch the fairy tales of like on the television, and you watch Dragon's Den because it was on then, and you read about a guy called Richard Branson and how, and I suppose I always remember, so my mum used to work at Woolworths in Oxford, and this was at the time when Richard Branson was living on his boat, and he was delivering some of the records into Woolworths himself. This was in the early days, but I think he was late or something like that, and I think she turned around to him and said, "You better sharpen up your act if you want to be a success at this," or something like that. So, but when I'd listened to Duncan Bannatyne's books and things, and thought, right, no, this is, and it's all the other bits that go with it as well. It's not just about making money or being successful. It's then what you can then do with that.
What the money and gives you?
Yeah. So, for example, charity work, looking after your colleagues and making sure that they are as happy as they can be. So if you look at, I know this is fast forwarding, but you look at James Timpson and the Timpson family and the holiday homes that they have, and the charity work that they do. And I think Duncan Bannatyne did similar things. Again, he's done various bits of charity work in how he kind of looked after key personnel when they were going through challenging times.
So it's not necessarily about making the money. It's what you can do.
Yeah, it's the journey that
Okay.
you're going on to
Okay.
it, and what are the other great things that mean more than the money's great because it allows you to survive, but it's what you can do with it that can make a bigger.
Now, I
bigger
know we're going
impact.
to get to this, but you're almost guilty of working too hard, or you were up until recently.
Yeah.
How do you square the fact that you want to be successful to help your team, but if you're not helping yourself?
A lot of the time you have to learn it the hard way, and you end up getting to a point where something has to give, and the team weren't going to give, and I had to give.
Well, let's have a chat about that a little bit later. You became a weekend negotiator for Spencer's. By the looks of the dates, that's whilst you were still at university.
Yeah, so I think I did university 2000 to 2004. I was bread and cake boy. That wasn't on my LinkedIn profile. So I was bread and cake boy at Sainsbury's before that.
Lovely.
And I had the goal.
Putting the donuts all out in the boxes.
Yeah, the cake in the right order, the cakes and the bread in the right order, and things, and stock rotation. And
was that just to earn a few pounds so you could go down the snooker hall then?
It was to help, so I didn't have to take out as much student loan because I only ever took out 1 year's worth of student loan. It was to kind of pay for that, but then half of what I earned, or my mum made me put it away for savings. So if I earned £800 a month, I'd tell her I only earned 600.
Does she know that?
No,
she knows that.
I'm sure she probably does. I'm sure she probably does deep down. But I always had this goal, and I thought, right, I'm going to come out with £1,000. I'm going to come out with £1,000 in the summer. And the amount of hours then I had to work to come out, and you get to the end of it, yes, done it. And then it's like, what's the next challenge? But Weekend Boy is what I went on to next. And that was again, mum and dad.
What? They said
they saw I was working at Sainsbury's, and they said, "Oh, Wixton Spencer's have got a weekend job going. Why don't you go and apply for that?" So I went and applied for that, and a couple of weeks later, I ended up working there as the Sainsbury's.
You were there for no more than a year, and then you went to work for Knightsbridge while still at university.
Yep, and that was full time. That was in
while still being at university.
Yeah, so university lectures were 16 hours a week. So around those 16 hours, I left work. So if it was a 10 o'clock lecture, I go in first thing, leave about 1:45, 20 to 10, go and do my hour lecture, come back just after 11 o'clock, not have a lunch. So I do that throughout the week. So I work full time and I generally work full time throughout the whole of my university time as well.
Do you think, I mean, obviously it's from where you are now, but do you think that was a wise decision to make at the time?
Yeah.
Why? You don't see many students having a full-time job.
Because I don't think I would be where I wanted to get to in the time that I did it.
And this wasn't because of the money?
Part of it was the money to survive, yeah, because I had a young family.
So you had a young family whilst at university?
Yes, I had two stepdaughters.
Right, okay then.
Two stepdaughters.
So how old? So you met your partner?
Yep.
Okay. Two stepdaughters?
Yeah.
And then you had a son, didn't you?
Had a son in 2004, yeah. So pre-2004, I had the two stepdaughters, and we obviously had rent and things to pay. And in 2002 is when I bought first house.
Whilst still at university?
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
A student
yeah.
in a relationship
yeah.
with two stepdaughters,
yeah.
a son that's about to come, and buying a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, September 2002.
So you did need the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What did having two stepdaughters? Let's have a quick shout out to them now.
Yeah. So Christy and Bethany. Yeah.
Okay. So you're still their stepdad, really, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah.
And you had a son as well. When did you have the son?
2004. Jack
2004. So that's Jack. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he'd be what, 18 now?
Yeah.
Good stuff. I see you post him on social media. It looks a nice lad. Having a family so young, what did that teach you?
With hindsight, creating memories and moments when you've got your own family, and when you think you haven't got a lot of time, you actually have got a lot of time. Because anyone knows, if you have children, all of a sudden you've got to magically conjure up a few more hours in the day, and you manage it. It's like who are probably the best organisers in the world. Lots of mums out there.
Yeah, too right. So straight out of university, it was almost natural that you went full time because you already were full time.
Yeah, already was. Yeah.
Did the university course actually teach you anything that you didn't know? Because I know you are naturally a hungry person. You know, you love your podcast, you love your books.
No, I wouldn't say so. And that's not because it was a bad course. I was probably just more engrossed with the real life, real business. I say real business, and learning.
You're already full time. You did the university, got your certificate.
Yeah.
Almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because you just went and. What did you love about? Were you still in sales? Was it sales or lettings at this time?
So it was sales in 2004.
Okay,
yeah.
But then you became lettings manager in
2005. Yeah, the June I think it was of 2005 off the top of my head. Completely accidental. However, that was best way to describe it is if you're a racing car driver and you see an opening to overtake the person in front of you. That was what I saw in order to get ahead. That was going to be my next step.
It's quite rare for an estate agent to want to become a letting agent. And normally you would never let a valuer. I know were you valuing it that time? No. Right, okay. So you were
just probably a crap neg at the time.
Okay. But you saw this as an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get ahead because you were with that hunger.
Yeah. Well, I'd seen, we had a lettings book. It was, I don't know, let's say it was 60 odd properties, I think it was at the time. And the guy doing it had just made a really nice guy, but made a really bad job of it. Just basic things, not calling people back, over promising, under delivering. And I thought this isn't rocket science. This is just basic stuff. But tell you what I'll do is I'll say that why don't I look after it whilst you sort something out, I'll make, and then this is me talking to my voice in my head, as I'm sure most people have a couple of voices in their head. I'm going to make a absolutely storming go of this, so they'll actually turn around and offer me the job. And then 3 months later, I think it was, they said, actually, do you want to carry it on?
Uplift in pay?
Yeah, but my biggest focus was the car then, is what car can I get?
What did you get?
Because I didn't have a company car, and it's like, okay, I want a company car. And at the time, the previous guy had a Nissan Almera. I said, I'm not having that. I said, I'm not having that. I said, I've proved to you that I've managed to sort it out. So I want this. So I went for a Hyundai Tucson in silver, petrol, CDX.
All the toys.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like a Beamer or an M3 or something.
No.
Well, of course,
It was practical because my ambition was to own a caravan, so it was to then tow a caravan.
You want a caravan? You
Yeah.
have to almost stop the conversation now. Towing your bloody toilet.
A touring caravan.
So really, you were an average bloke, 2.4 kids, with not a Sierra,
Yeah.
but you just wanted a caravan. That was your.
At 24.
You were old before your time, weren't you?
Yeah.
Why did you want a caravan to tow your toilet? Is that what you want? Have you got a caravan now, by the way?
No, I've not got a caravan.
Did you ever buy a caravan, by the way?
Yeah, I've had 1, 2, 3 caravans.
Okay then. Well, this might change our friendship slightly. I'm ready for when you're late, as long as you don't drive one. That's fine. Right. So you became a lettings manager. What did you love about lettings?
It was the relationships. It was the relationships with the tenants, and it was the relationships with the landlords, and even with the contractors. It was just the whole package. In that, I always remember my first letter that came in saying how great the service was compared to the previous guy, named a guy called Adam, lived on Montague Road in Clair Park, and he. All it was over a damaged stair tread, and yet he felt compelled to write a letter to praise how good the service was. But we weren't doing it. We were just returning phone calls. We were just doing what we said, and it's like, well, if we do this and we make people happy, this is easy.
Did you find, because again, most estate agents don't make great letting agents. Do you think intrinsically in your heart you're a letting agent that does estate agency, or an estate agent that does lettings? At the time,
a letting agent.
You've got the passion from lettings, because normally,
Yeah.
But again, most letting agents don't. Not all. Most letting agents don't have that drive to where you are now. You could have just been there.
It has switched as we'll go on that journey. It has switched a couple of times.
You know, just 2.4 kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And a caravan.
Yeah.
2 miles.
No, when the first caravan trip we ever went on was to Loughborough, a farmer's field in Loughborough.
Okay. If you want to tell you, yeah.
And then it was Sunny Honey.
Okay. Oh well, that handstand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great there. Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, those relationships you have with contractor, because it just runs so smoothly, and that's where the wheels come off. Is that when you don't look after the tenants, or you don't look after your contractors, or you don't give the landlord the right service, and you're at the end of the phone. When you've got landlords that work for other well-known agencies quite high up to say the service is superb, but you don't look at it as so, you just look at it as serving the customer.
On the back of that service, did you grow your lettings book?
Yeah.
So
I think by the end of that year, from memory, I think we went into lettings in 2003, 2004, and I think there were around 62 properties then. By the end of 2005, we were over 100.
And you were lettings manager until 2013.
Yeah.
How many had you got to till 2013?
450.
That's impressive, mate.
Yeah.
So during those years, I mean, obviously we had the credit crunch.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You're
So,
still an employee at that
yeah.
time. What did you learn in those years as being a lettings manager? I mean, you were there for nearly 8 years as lettings manager. You were now in your late 20s, early
Yeah.
30s. Did you still, could you have seen yourself, where did you see yourself at that time?
So my ultimate aim, my ultimate vision, as soon as I got that kind of hunger that the lettings, once I saw, right, I can do this on lettings, I've seen that opening, I've overtaken that car in front. It's right, I'm now going to own a piece of this.
Did,
And I never shared that with it. That was
I was
always,
about to say,
I never shared that with anyone. What, not beforehand. I've shared it with people since after it happened. But I never shared it with any, and that was always my drive. So even when it was like, oh, I feel tired. No, come on, keep going. This is and you have that voice in your head. This is why you're doing this. This is because you're going to own a piece of this one day.
but you didn't tell Aaron or Simon that?
No, or my partner. See, I have lots of these conversations that go on in my head all the time.
That drive, that must have been quite hard work.
Yeah, it is, but you take inspiration from either reading. Again, this all comes back to you take inspiration from whether or not it's a audio book by Richard Branson, or if it's Duncan Bannatyne, or if it's Paul McGee, or
I mean, if you don't mind me saying, for someone in their late 20s, you were playing the long game, which is quite a rare trait in 20-year-olds.
yeah, yeah.
And where did that playing the long game come from? Because it's, I bang on about it all the time. The shortcut is the long game.
Yeah,
You were playing the long game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I necessarily set out at the beginning to think I'm playing the long game here, but this is
Because there's a certain, if you don't mind me saying, there's a certain level of maturity here
Yeah.
as a someone in their 25 to 30.
Yeah.
You had two stepdaughters and you had a son.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of it is just I wanted to be able to give a better quality of life to me and the family at the time. I suppose that was I want them to be able to have the nice things
Like your father did.
Yeah.
Then the store got kicked underneath of you in 2013.
Yeah, it's a bit shit.
What happened?
So I got told in the November of 2012, just on the fly, and this is literally how it kind of happened. So I'd built the lettings up, and it was a bit like my baby, and out with the 400 odd landlords, knew all the landlords, kept in contact with them, serviced them. Same with the tenants. I was very heavily involved, did periodic inspections, so it's very much part of me.
They're your babies.
Yeah. And then in the bonfire party in November 2012, just as a casual comment by Aaron, who was one of the directors at the time, we're selling the lettings business. Oh, okay. And then it took from then until the 28th of Feb for the deal to go through, selling it to Countrywide.
What were your first thoughts?
To cry, and I did massively, because it was like, and people talk about it, about how someone's taken a big chunk of you and pulled it out. Yeah, a lot of upset, hurt, anger, frustration. Still upsets me now, but time's gone on, so I'm not.
What did your other half say when you told her?
I don't think she really got it, because I suppose one of the criticisms of me at the time was that I just worked too much and work too hard. And why are you doing this for someone else?
Was she encouraging you to step away and go elsewhere?
No, no.
Or she didn't necessarily really care that much? Humbly, nicely, you can't expect her to care because it's your baby, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And didn't really get it, and understand that, which is fine.
That must have hurt as well, though, slightly.
No,
But then it's not her baby, is it?
no,
So,
correct. And it's, I suppose it's like your passion is, let's say one of your passions is your ale drinking or whatever. I've got no interest in ale drinking whatsoever.
collecting antique medals. There
Yeah,
you go.
they are, and for me to understand that, and yet you're probably trying to, yeah, but surely they're great. This metal, it's really antique.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's a piece of metal.
Yeah.
And I suppose
did you have any other hobbies at the time, or was your hobby work?
hobby was work, but yeah. So obviously we had the caravan. Trying to remember if we still had a caravan then. I think we did. Played a little bit of golf, but nothing too seriously. Bit of gardening. I do like gardening. And trains. So I had a train set that goes around the garden, and I still have a train set that goes around the garden. So invested a lot of time in that. There's still a YouTube video of it going around the garden. I strapped a camcorder to the train. This was before phones and everything. Camcorder going around the garden.
So did Jack like the train going around the
Oh
garden?
yeah. But Jack grew up with my dad because he's into his trains as well. Thomas the Tank and all of that. So
Did you ever have an indoor train track, or was it more the outdoor one?
no, with Jack, no, we always had an outdoor one.
Because I know you've got one at the moment in your new home, haven't you?
Yeah.
There you go. I wonder where the train geekiness came from. Nothing wrong with train geekiness. Right. Okay. So, how did you, after the initial shock and the anger, how did you pull yourself round?
I didn't for a long time. It was still eating away at me.
How long was it eating?
I was very resentful for a long time.
So you weren't expected to go with the properties, were you?
No, because I was too expensive.
Right.
So that my understanding is that a comment came back from Countrywide was that I was too expensive. Everyone else did. That was part of the lettings team, but I was the only person that wasn't part of the deal.
So when did you realise that you weren't moving with the properties?
I think very early on. I think I got told very early on. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not moving with the properties then.
So what did Aaron and Simon say to you then? Did they have that chat with you?
I can't remember that bit. I can't remember. I don't believe. I would certainly feel it wasn't handled in the right way.
Did you fear for your job?
Yep. It's like, okay, there's no lettings. What am I going to do?
So did you actually have that chat with them, saying, "What am I going to do?"
No, I don't think I did, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to kind of show that negative side, or that, like poker face, isn't it? So you don't want to reveal your fears.
You thought you didn't want to rattle the cage. You just thought.
No.
So you just carried
I
on.
thought, well, worst case is if they don't want me, they'll have to just pay me to go, because I've been there long enough.
Did you learn? I know you've not sold your own lettings book, but did you learn anything from that mishandling by Aaron and Simon? And this is nothing personal, because Aaron's still a business.
Yeah. And I love Aaron to bits. I love Aaron to bits.
Do you think you've learned? Did you learn anything from that had made you a better person with the way you deal with people?
Yeah, you just got to try and treat people like they're a human being and try and speak to them as soon as you can. At the end, most people have still got 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth, and it's. But also, I suppose, again later on, you have got to distance this kind of friendship and business relationship as well. Okay,
so I know Simon's not in the business anymore because you bought him out. Aaron's still in the business as almost as like a silent partner.
Yeah.
How did you? I'm going to jump ahead now slightly. How did you turn what could have been a toxic relationship into you basically becoming a?
Because turning it toxic wasn't going to achieve anything, was it?
But plenty of people would have gone down that.
I know,
route.
but what would it have? But the way is that you then got to look at, okay, in 6 months' time, what would that have achieved? Nothing, and you probably would have made an
Because a lot of
enemy.
people, effing this,
Yeah,
effing
yeah,
that,
yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
show them, fuck them,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe if it had been now, perhaps different. I don't know, but at the time, it is. And I always have this conversation before I try to say something in my head. Is that okay? How well is that going to be received? And would I want once it's said, I can't take it back?
Again, you're showing a lot of maturity for someone who is, quite frankly, in their late 20s, early 30s. You know, you've made Aaron and Simon a chunk of money. And then they basically took that, you know, they cashed their chips in a bit.
Yeah.
But you were mature enough to
Yeah.
say, right. So when did it come to the pass that you basically said to them, right, what we're going to do? I want in.
Yeah, well, that's when I thought, right, okay, so what's my next stance? I could go off and get another job elsewhere, and I did look at those options, and I got offered a nice option, being a group lettings controller.
Oh, that sounded good.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Wow.
I suppose the equivalent now is lettings director, isn't it? But if only location existed then.
Do love them guys.
I do too. Very good company. But no, so I got and that was for, they're not in existence at Harrison Murray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then got bought out by the Nottingham.
Who's subsequently got bought out by Belvoir.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, they sold off their property
Yes,
division,
didn't
didn't they? Because it was banks and estate agencies trying to reinvent the wheel again. Doesn't work.
Who would have thought, eh?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So.
Yes. So I said, right. Okay. I said, well, you got these two offices here, meaning Opie and Wigston, and they weren't really making a lot of money at the time. I want those offices to run and look after and manage, and I'll value for one of them, and I'll manage the. So that's what I did.
Well, what were Aaron and Simon going to do then?
Well, Aaron was a valuer or a lister for Clanham Park, and Simon, I can't remember what he did at the time. I think he was based at Clanham Park, to be fair. But I suppose it's a bit like what happens when you expand. So you have one branch, and then you open another branch, and one of the branches gets neglected, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then they open another branch, and two branches get neglected, and the one that is always.
So you basically left them at Clarendon Park,
Yeah,
the pair of them, and said, right, give me.
Opie and Wigston, yeah.
What? And basically said, if you don't, and did you say at the time I want in an equity in the business as well?
No. There's no conversation around that at that time.
So this is
But that was still in my head. That still hadn't gone.
Right. So in 2005, you said, sorry,
2013.
in 2013, you said,
March.
right, give me these branches, and I'll sort them out for you.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Yeah.
I bet they were chuffed to bits, weren't they? Because it's the classic people opening up the second and third branches, and they never do as well unless you move. Were any of the equity partners permanently in either of the two then?
No.
There you go. Classic mistake that a lot of people make.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah, it went well. We had colleagues that weren't, again, Julian Ardell talks about this, is that when your business is trying to go forward, you're on a bus journey or a train journey, and people are going to hop off the bus, and it's fine for people to hop off the bus, and it's better that they go to a better place, and some people did, and there was some really crucial conversations that needed to be had around wage structures and commission structures, because it was just uneconomical for.
When you were lettings manager, how many people were you responsible for?
6 probably.
And where did you learn your management skills? Through the books and the.
Through the books. I used to love watching Undercover Boss. Yeah, and you can learn things from that. Back to the Floor. There used to be a program on BBC called Back to the Floor. My favourite one was when they went to the Reliant Robbing factory.
Because if you don't mind me saying, your management style is, and I know we're going to do a separate video on this, is more leadership than management in terms of they work for you, not you work for them.
Yeah.
Do you think you were a good leader manager at the time?
Yeah.
And how did the businesses go at Wigston and Obi?
They went in the right direction. We managed to start turning them around, and we were making more money.
More money than Clarendon Park?
No.
But Clarendon Park is in a big area, isn't it? And that's the flagship branch.
Yeah.
But they were wiping their faces.
Yeah.
So when did the subject of you actually coming in onto the business come up?
It would have been 2014.
Right.
And I can't remember how it came about now, but it was like, okay.
So by each time you turned around two branches. Had you turned around the two branches by now?
Yeah.
So basically, these two orphan branches that were just kind of, in hindsight, they probably wouldn't have opened in hindsight, but every agent does that.
Yeah.
You basically said, I want those. Give me the reins.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that first year?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? So let's go down that rabbit hole. When did the subject of I want in? Because that was that voice that was always in your head.
It would have been late 2014.
Right.
Early 2015, and I think it was more around. Obviously, the challenges that all businesses were under at the time is that dealing with staff problems, dealing with this, dealing with that, and I think Simon and Aaron at the time just wanted to just be an estate agent. They didn't want the hassle that comes with staff. They didn't want the hassle that comes with when someone calls in sick, and
they just wanted to go out selling houses.
Yeah, negging houses, selling houses, progressing them, that kind of thing.
What do you do? Just sit down with them and say,
"Yeah, I want a piece of the action."
How did they take that? Didn't they know it were coming?
No. Aaron, yes. Simon, probably not. But it was something that needed to be done in order to take the company forward. Otherwise, I think if nothing had happened then, I would have definitely left the company then.
Did they give you some equity straight away?
Yeah.
So at least they didn't bullshit you and
so,
say if you work hard.
No,
you'd already proved it.
No, and to be fair, it was right. Okay, fine. Well, we're all a third now.
Well, you'd sold the lettings book, so really the true value of a business is the lettings book. The book is sold that. Fire goes. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Did it change you owning part of the business?
No.
It's almost irrelevant.
No, it was just more for my own peace of mind and security, and realizing that dream.
You did you take control of Clarendon Park at this point?
The company in general, yeah. Not very long after. It was.
So it was the third, but basically you always need a leader.
Like managing type.
You became the managing partner?
Yeah.
That was quite early on, wasn't it? Or do you just think it was more relief from Aaron and Simon that
they just didn't want to do it? They just like we said, they just wanted to do estate agency. They wanted to book viewings. They wanted to go out and value houses. As long as they got paid and the money was coming in, then they were happy. They didn't want to have to deal with the accounts. They didn't have to put invoices into Sage at the time and stuff like that.
But it didn't change you?
No.
But it certainly meant that you got to where you wanted to get.
Yeah.
Did you then subsequently what was your next goal?
2015, the turnover was just over 600,000. So the next goal was $1 million turnover.
When did you hit that?
No, sorry, tell a lie. 2013, the turnover was 6, and then we realised the $1 million turnover in 2016.
That's really good.
Yeah,
really good. So 2015, you were boss man, and that's when you met your new partner, Stacey.
Yeah.
Who worked for you.
She did, yeah. First time though, she turned me down. in terms of the job. So I tried to recruit her first of all, but ended up staying for a bit more money at William H. Brown.
Okay, because she's ex Halifax, isn't she?
Yeah,
I used to work. I'm
yeah,
not in the same office,
yeah,
but I can
yeah. I
remember.
think she went from Halifax to Browns and then on to us.
And then you managed to poach her.
Yeah,
How long before you asked her out?
2016. Yeah, 2016.
Good for you.
I think we were living together very quickly.
There you go. You don't hang about, do you? And what does Stacey bring to the party? What does she do for you?
A lot.
Okay. Care to expand?
So different in the early days, because obviously we'd only just got together. So again, she probably thought I was mad with hours that I worked and that kind of thing.
But at least she knew she was involved in the business.
Yeah. She knew what she was getting herself into. But yeah, she gave me a lot of support. She does a lot of work behind the scenes. She takes at this moment in time, she takes a lot of shit off my plate. Pardon my French. As does Kirsty. And she, if she wasn't around, I don't think I'd still be involved in agents. I would have just walked away.
When do you think you would have walked away? Because you'd only just become an equity partner in the business.
Yeah, so I probably would have walked away 2021, 22. So last couple of years.
Why would you walked away?
Just had enough.
What, kind of been there, done it, built a big firm, got a bit bored of it?
No, not get, just sometimes things just grind you. We'd had COVID, so I think that tested a lot of business owners, didn't it? And the stress and the hassle that brought. And sometimes it only takes a few things, whether or not you have staff leave or a few bad months or whatever it is, and you just think, perhaps I don't want this. Perhaps I don't want this stress and this hassle anymore. But Stacey puts better perspective on it, and the fact that we share the workload, we share all of that now.
How do you switch off from being work husband and wife to home husband and wife?
Oh, she does it a lot easier than I do. Yeah, I'm still chewing on it a lot into the evening and things, and she can switch off. Does my heading, like she can just go to sleep just like that, and I'm still wide awake thinking about things. And
are you allowed to talk about work when you're at home?
Yeah, we do. We don't tend to talk about it too much on holiday, but yeah, no, we do. It's just we try not to. It's harder around the kids because trying to talk about something that's gone on at work, and then you've got two little ones.
So you've got Joshua and Oliver, 2 and 4.
Yeah.
How was having 2 young kids in your late 30s?
Yeah, it's hard. It's drain on the energy. But
meanwhile, running a 3-branch operation.
Yeah, it's great. It's lovely, but it is so rewarding. Again, trying to create the memories and the moments with them, but it is a drain. It is a drain on top of everything else.
When COVID hit, did that, in those first month when we didn't have furlough or anything like that?
Didn't have furlough or bounce back or.
Did that worry you? Did you think the party was over?
No, I think I felt quite a bit of a numbness because it's like, okay, no one's ever navigated these waters before, so we're just going to have to sit. And things were changing by the hour. Yes. in the early times, and I thought the world was quite a nicer place then. as well. With certain things, and the kind of quality time that we spent as a family. We only had Oliver at the time, and things, but and what we did. But yeah, it was worrying, but ultimately you think, well, we're not the only ones in this position, and it's not just a state agency, it's your cafe down the road, and it's your hairdressers, and it's your beauty. So something will happen. Then very quickly it started, we were announcing all of it, and then it was a big sigh of relief. But again, when the support came out, it wasn't, well, we'll just bank that money. We invested it back into the offices. So when they were ready to open, we'd had them all repainted. And some previous colleagues said, why are you spending this money on? You should be keeping it in the back. No, because when we're back in the office, I want it all nice and clean, and I want everyone to be able to come back to work in the right environment. Again, I want to create the right environment for everyone. We've had this money, and I think it's part of what we should be doing is reinvesting it, so it pays for Mick the decorator, who can then pay his mortgage, and who may not have been able to have got the COVID support at the time, or whatever else it was. So yeah, it was, again, at that point, it was thinking about the team first.
So you came back after COVID,
Yeah.
invested in the business, then you bought Simon out.
Yeah, it'd been a conversation going on for a long, long time, but it just never moved anywhere. And this had been going on before COVID. And Simon had kind of lost interest in the business and wanted to do other things, which is fine.
How old was Simon at the time, roughly?
Oh gosh, 50.
Okay, so not
Yeah,
too
50, 51. Yeah.
But he'd been in the business for how long? 20 years. 30 years.
Yeah, so pre-98. So he'd been in probably a good 30 years, maybe.
So you got
25.
a bit bored. You'd started lettings by then, because you'd had like a
2016, we'd gone back into lettings. We'd had the exclusivity with Countrywide of 3 years. Yeah.
Did you manage to track many of the landlords back?
They naturally came back to us. Yeah, we obviously couldn't go out and poach them, but
No.
they recognised that we were back open, so they.
And you've steadily grown your lettings business since.
Yeah.
What's it like now to have 2/3 of the firm in the family?
Doesn't.
No difference.
Yeah, it is no difference, because I don't look at it that, oh, all of this we own 2/3 of. It's what we do each day and how we help people each day.
But that doesn't sound like an estate or letting agent that I would normally talk to. Because most estate agents, it's market share, I've got this is what I've got. You seem to look at it completely differently, that you're almost there to serve others.
Yeah, market share is good.
Of course
and
it is.
And that's nice to give you a good big pat on the back. But
not
I know that when we grew our lettings book originally, we didn't do anything. We didn't do content writing. We didn't have blogs. We didn't do landlords evenings. We just did it through good, honest service to landlords, and growing it organically that way. And it's like, and it is less vulnerable then to the peaks and troughs of when, like now, you've got a lot of landlords that are, or a lot of inexperienced or older landlords sometimes, but a lot of the inexperienced landlords are getting a bit jittery with leaving the market now. Whereas if if you're building it organically, generally you're dealing with the landlords that are less vulnerable to those little blips, and they're in it for the long. They are in it for the long game. So, no, again, it's about what fun can we have today.
Now, at the end of 22, going into 23, you decided to take a step back from the day-to-day running, with let Stacey and Kirsty take control a little bit more. That must have been quite difficult.
It was and it wasn't.
I mean, you said to me that you've been working stupid hours. That must have been really hard work for you, just to take a step back.
Yeah, that's the bit in. I've always loved the work, so I'm normally an early riser. Anyone that knows me will know that I'm an early riser.
You get up like 3 or 4 in the morning, don't you?
Yeah, but I'd be in bed sometimes I've been in bed at 6:30 at night. Some days, um, and going straight to sleep. But I think it just what was it, 20, 21, 22 years of intense work, long slog, and it was just a way of I need to not switch off, but I need to slow down and take a bit of care for me now. But that was Stacey telling me that, not me. At the
And you
beginning.
listened to her?
Not at the very start. She had been telling me for a while, but eventually, yeah.
What have you done with your time?
For the first 2 weeks, I spent it in bed. So I just slept an awful lot. Sometimes 16 hours a day I'd sleep for the first couple of weeks. Then after that, I'd spend quite a bit of time down Foss Park, which is close by to where we live. I'd have breakfast down there, come home, go down for lunch, do a bit of people watching. Maybe pick up Stacey and the boys later and we'll go there for dinner. No, seriously. And there's a group of old boys that would meet at the coffee shop every morning, and they'd congregate all their tables. So I'd sit there, I like people watching, but no, just doing nothing. I literally didn't do apart from clean the house, which I love cleaning.
Do you think you'd have burnt out if you didn't do that? It was almost getting to the point that you were...
Yeah, potentially, maybe past the point of no return, but hopefully not. But
what were the warning signs that probably other people could spot out for that you realise, actually, hold on a second, I'm just working too hard?
Just your decision-making process is not normal.
Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
So
you'd be erratic with how you'd make decisions, and being really, really short-tempered at home, and emotional is another one. And I'm not a big emotional person in terms of crying and things like that. But yeah, that kind of thing.
We're filming this in May. What has these last 5 months taught you about where you wanted to go for the future of Luke and Stacey and the business and Knightsbridge?
It's making sure you've got the right team around you. And fortunately, we have got the right team around us.
I mean, my fear is that what's gonna keep you occupied? Because there's only so many times you can go down the old boys' coffee shop.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I do a few things outside, whether or not it's community bits, but slowly. It's not that I've completely switched off and unplugged myself from the agency, and it'll be slowly bringing me back more into speed. But I've got a good grasp of what's still going on.
Has it given you an opportunity to do more of a helicopter view of the business and look at things that you might have not necessarily spotted because you're at the coalface?
Absolutely.
The classic on the business as opposed
to
and
business. Sometimes when you're making decisions for sentimental reasons, rather than with your head, you're letting your heart roll.
The fact that you're absolutely knackered and you almost thought, shit, I need to sort something out.
And you sometimes just take the easy route. You don't want the conflict, you don't want the hassle, so you just think, oh yeah, we'll just go with it. And now it's no. Well, look, we've been down that problem before. It's not. You're just delaying it. You're just you've got a broken leg. No point putting a plaster on it.
So you'll ease yourself back in a bit more now.
Yeah.
At the moment, you've got some great captains that are driving the business forward for
100%.
Do you think you'll open more branches or just get more market share?
More market share. I don't believe we need to open more branches. It's about having the right team and investing in that team, and growing that team. Again, something that again has helped in the last couple of months. And I've been aware of it before, but put more importance on it is the autonomy that someone wants in terms of their job.
But that must be really hard work when, and I see it all the time, a lot of times with bosses, where letting go of the levers of power and letting people flourish themselves. That's really hard work to let go.
It is, but you're going to be the one constricting it if you don't.
This is almost the next lesson, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. But yeah, it is. You it'll only ever be as good as what you want to make it. Whereas other people are there and they want to step up.
Do you still think you'll be there in 10 or 20 years' time?
100%.
And it's just enjoying the journey. You've mentioned this a few
Yeah,
times.
it's enjoying the journey, and it's about having fun, and it's enjoying the journey.
Do you think estate agents enjoy the journey and have fun?
Some do, some do. I think more could, and again, if you make that journey enjoyable and people can have fun but still do the right job, then again you only got to look at the likes of someone like location and what they have there, or Paramount with Spencer there. You look at some of the Australian agencies as well, but then that they should be kind of like your role models to not copy, because you'll only ever be a copy of them. You'll never be better. You got to have your own identity to it.
Luke Sinclair, thank you for your time today. I genuinely believe you're one of the best estate agents in the UK. I put you in the same category, and have said so many times, as the likes of Spencer Lawrence, because you have the two traits of being humble yet hungry. You've got some fantastic people that work alongside you, and I know the industry think the world of you, and as I do as well. Thank you for your time today, and I wish you well in your future, keeping it fun and real and enjoying the journey. Thank you.
Thank you.